What's going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here with this week's edition of Stompbox Saturday. And on the stompin block this week, we have the awesome new T Drive from Vertex Effects. In the guitar gear world, there seems to be a holy trinity of unobtainium of sorts. You have the Dumble Overdrive Special, the Klon Centaur, and the one for me that I would most like to have, the Trainwreck Express. Trainwreck amplifiers were made by Ken Fisher in the late 80s into the 90s, but sadly, not many were produced, and Ken Fisher, the builder, passed away in 2006, I believe, right around the time that I was getting out of high school and first discovering these amplifiers. Now, when I would see videos online, which Glenn Kuykendall, man, his Trainwreck videos are the best out there. So if you want a good source on like a real Trainwreck, go check out his videos. I'll link one below in the description. But they combine everything about guitar tone that I would really like. The chime of a Vox AC30 for some nice cleans and a little bit more on the crunch side, but then they also have a saturation and a singing quality to the gain structure of a Marshall Plexi. So you get this sort of best of both worlds thing, but then on top of that, these amplifiers were incredibly touch sensitive, incredibly dynamic to the guitar's volume and tone knobs and the player. It's pretty remarkable. And I thought they also looked pretty cool too. But the thing is, not many Trainwreck style pedals have been released, and when you're dealing with an amplifier that has been made in, under 3 digits, it's kind of hard to come across one. But Mason has gone to the trouble of working with some Trainwreck players to find what makes the Trainwreck Express so great, and we have the T Drive. So let's throw it up on the screen and you can see what we are working with, and as you see, it's pretty bonehead simple. 2 knobs, that's it. Volume and drive. And quite frankly, that's really all I would want. You don't want a whole lot of stuff mucking with your already good guitar sound and your already good amp sound. So what I found in my experimentation is that your amp's EQ almost has as much effect over the sound as whatever you set the knobs on the pedal to be. Now, I think the best thing to do to show you what this little guy can do is to show it to you with my Les Paul, find my favorite sound and kind of show you how I would use it, and then switch over to my Strat. We'll do exactly the same thing. And then we'll also mess with my amp's EQ so that we can get a little bit more out of it. So let's get started. Les Paul into the T Drive. Of course, the amp, as always, is the orange Rockerverb 100. We are going to start with the EQ controls with the bass at 12 o'clock and the treble control at about 2 o'clock. That gets pretty gainy and pretty saturated fast, and that's not a bad thing at all. Now, what I really love to do is use that classic trick of your full-up bridge pickup and then using your volume knob to find a clean sound of sorts. So, bridge pickup. Neck pickup. It's a little crunchy, it's got a little bit of hair on it, but it's very clean, and you can really hear, you almost hear the strings on the fretboard, you hear the skin on your fingers, the pick, everything. So you can just sit with that one setting and do so much. And really, that's about where I like to have it. Of course, I'll turn the volume up to about unity. So let's find unity. That seems about right. And that kind of works for me. And that's even enough gain for solos. Yeah, that's about enough for me. I might even just go ahead a hair more on the gain. Yeah, like it a lot. So really for me with humbuckers, that kind of 1 o'clock for everything really works. I might add a little bit of echo on there, maybe a little bit more reverb, but this is kind of the sound that I like and can really get a whole lot out of. And that's the thing that I really like about Trainwrecks. There's just so much you can get out of one setting, and the T Drive translates that really well. Of course, we could mess with the amps EQ. What if I add just a little bit more treble and shave off some of the bass? Let's see what that does to the sound that we've already dialed up. Very responsive to that. It changes up the way that that feels to me entirely. So that's kind of what I like to do with humbuckers. Get that nice sort of hard rockin' sound, something that can provide me with a little bit more of a flexible tonal palette, so to speak. So yeah, that's that with the Les Paul, and you can get a lot out of it. So let's switch over to the Strat and check out what we can do with that. We still get that nice smoking harmonic content that really just kind of beefs up the single coils on this guitar. But what I love with the Stratocaster is that we really start to hear that voxy jangle in the high end. Of course, the orange is a nice sound, and I really like it for its warmth, and we can get a little bit of articulation out of it if I turn off the pedal. But if I turn on the T Drive, boost it up a little bit to where about unity was the last time, and then start turning it back, starting at 9 o'clock, we kind of get that jangle. It just adds this new life to this guitar. For me, I've always had a weird relationship with Stratocasters because I like the way they feel, and there are certain sounds on it that I like, but I don't like everything about it. And to me, this sound really just kind of opens up this new sort of voice to this guitar. And if I go to the neck pickup, very cool. Just, it's way more inspiring and way more exciting than doing. You know, it's kind of just a whatever sound at that point. But this, it's like a little bit of fire breathed into it. And of course, for you country guys out there, you know that Brad Paisley plays a Trainwreck oftentimes. So you can easily get sort of the chicken picking thing going on here with a little bit more gain and get in that territory. You still maintain that twang and that sound of that bridge pickup. It's not coloring that sound too much. It's really responding to these different guitars in a different way that you still maintain that character, which is pretty amazing. You're not getting the coloration of the amplifier. You still hear yourself as the player. You still hear the guitar. You're just getting a new color to your tonal palette, so to speak. You're not really being masked by too much. So if I mess up in this demo, you're gonna hear it. And there you have it, my friends. That is the T Drive from Vertex Effects. This pedal was a long time coming. I remember seeing teasers for it, and man, I can't even remember when that was. But the fact that it's finally here and that I'm getting out of it more than I thought that I would get out of it for a 2-knob pedal, that's pretty darn awesome to say the least. It's a sound that I can see myself using for years and years to come, and hopefully one day I'll run across a real Trainwreck Express and be able to add it to my arsenal. Until then, I have the T Drive and I am very, very happy with it. But I want to know what you guys thought. Shoot me a comment below with your thoughts on the T Drive, and be sure you click the subscribe button when you see it so you don't miss next week's episode of Stompbox Saturday. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and until next time, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I wish you all great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, my friends. Hey everybody, me again. I just wanted to say thank you again for joining me for this week's episode of Stompbox Saturday. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see more, go ahead and click the floating subscribe bubble down in the middle there. If this is your first time on my channel, check out this playlist to the left. And if you want to see some of the madness from Winter NAMM 2018, the playlist to the right is just for you. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode, and until next time, I wish you all great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.